Now that you are warmed up with doodle time and have your references, we are ready to draw. Here are some helpful tips for you when you start drawing. I like to air draw. It's helpful with coordinating your eye and hand together. Basically, it's a tool that will help you see where you want to draw your shape before you actually draw it. The second is sketching lightly. We're human and we make mistakes. Sketching lightly makes it easier to erase and won't leave any pencil marks as pressing hard will. The next helpful tip is eye squinting. This is the most helpful tool in learning how to observe like an artist. When our eyes are focused on the entire subject of what we're drawing, we see all the details. If we take a step back and squint our eyes just a little, we begin to blur out all the little details that we don't really need when starting just to see the basic shapes. Save all your details for later. I want to break down my drawing into the most simplified shapes and lines. Less shapes is easier to work with rather than many little ones. I use more geometric lines in the beginning rather than organic and curvy ones because it helps define the angles where the curves will be and makes it a lot easier to sketch curvier lines later on. Placement is really important when it comes to building a drawing. I use constructive lines to help me see where I need to draw the shapes in the right place. We can use them as a visual aid for landmarks such as joints in the leg or for a line of symmetry to create a symmetrical drawing such as a face. Before you move on, double check that the proportions are fairly close and that nothing is too small or big. Stay loose and have fun. Now that I've practiced once over the photo, which you can do if you have a printed reference or using a digital tablet, you can practice sketching these shapes next to it just like you did before. Drawing the shapes over the reference makes the second time so much easier. Now that I've finished blocking in the main foundational and basic shapes, I want to find the smaller shapes within them, such as knee joints, features in the face, and overlapping creases. Practice this process of breaking down many different types of images into these simple shapes until it becomes second nature. Next, we will refine our sketch. If you are drawing digitally, make another layer on top and lower the opacity of the layer you did the sketch on. If you are drawing on paper, your sketch can be light and your refining lines can be darker. Now we can focus on details of the shapes. I like to think of it as two-dimensional sculpting, and I'm carving away small bits that I don't need anymore. This is where we get to exercise our artist observational skills. Look closely at shapes, lines, and curves. Sometimes they appear to look one way, but actually are another. Pay close attention to small shifts in the angles of lines. Is the angle tilting slightly to the left, right, or maybe up or down? Now it's time to look at all the details. This is my favorite part. I look for textures, patterns, smaller creases, and smaller overlapping folds that bring the drawing to life. If there are separations in value, I like to lightly sketch the separations of lights and darks. Everyone perceives the world differently. Some aspects of an animal might be so attractive while others might miss those details completely. What about your subject do you like and want to emphasize? Drawing the details becomes a celebration of the things we get to see when we slow down and take the time to observe. The last thing to add is the values. There's no right or wrong way to approach this. You can go from light to dark or dark to light. I always make a mini value scale to keep it simple at first. Then I break it down further into a broader range of values. I like to work dark to light because usually my paper is white, so I want to find the other end of the spectrum of the value scale, working my way towards a highlight white. Or I start with a mid-tone value and then add darker values and then save the highlights and lightest values for last. You can use this method of blocking in values for pencil. For ink, markers, and watercolor, you would want to work your way from light to dark since it's more difficult to make darker values lighter.